Good morning, Carl. Well, the industry is pushing for explicit carve-outs from new IRS reporting requirements, and there's intense debate over whether the current language in the bill applies to minors and software developers, and that's stoking outrage among some of fintech's biggest CEOs. Coinbase's Brian Armstrong tweeted, quote, "History will not be kind to any politician who tries to block Americans' access to new technologies. Americans have a very low tolerance for taking away our rights and harming economic growth." Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey wrote, "This bill has so many issues," and he said one of the amendments from Senator Mark Warner only makes it worse. Meanwhile, Elon Musk got involved too. He said, "This is not the time to pick technology winners or losers in cryptocurrency technology. There is no crisis that compels hasty legislation." Now, GOP Senator Rob Portman, who helped write this bill, said he gets it.
In particular, we want to be sure minors and stakers and others now or in the future who play a key role by validating transactions, or sellers of hardware or software for digital wallets, or node operators, or others who are not brokers, are clearly exempted.
Now, the final vote on the infrastructure bill is scheduled for early tomorrow morning, but Republicans and Democrats are negotiating right now to speed up that process in exchange for the chance to make additional changes to the bill, including on the language around cryptos. Guys?
So, Ylan, a lot of these big crypto advocates are making a lot of noise, talking a big game. But what's the alternative here? I mean, you look at markets like China and India, and they are not any friendlier towards crypto. You could argue they're a lot more stringent. So what's the alternative? Have you heard any threats from the crypto industry about what they can actually do or would do if this bill passes as is?
Yeah, there's really not much that they would be able to do. I mean, one of the reasons why this is such an important piece of the legislation is because it's a significant pay for this $1 trillion spending bill. So this provision is expected to raise about $28 billion in increased tax revenue because people will be paying more taxes since the IRS has more information about them. And the Treasury Department is really concerned that a lot of the gains in crypto are going untaxed because they simply don't know about it. And so that's leading to a dramatic loss in revenue that really the administration is counting on to be able to pay for some of its ambitious spending plans.
Ylan, how much of a surprise was last week's groundswell, I guess it's fair to call it, over this issue? It reminds me a bit of the net neutrality blowback from a couple years back that it seemed to me caught some politicians by surprise in the social media fueled nature of it.
So it was no surprise that Treasury had the authority to do this and that this would be part of a bipartisan infrastructure bill. But I think there was concern around sort of the actual details of the language once it got released. Remember, the text was not released until I think it was Monday of last week. And so that's when industry really got a chance to sort of dig in and make their case. Now, the administration would say that the way the language is currently written is just fine. It doesn't sweep up all these players who have only bits and pieces of information around who holds all these different cryptocurrencies. But there is concern that when Treasury actually writes these regulations, if this bill does become law, that could create some burden on different parts of the industry if the language is not clarified at the outset. It's a lot easier to fix it going into the game than it is to fix it once it's over.